everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Thunderstorm. I am Kaznarius. With me is
Rin
and
Sliv,
and somebody else. This was an idea sort of thought up by Rin and the Pork Chopper, and it happened. It's currently happening.
It's happening, boys.
What? Explain to us what Thunderstorm is, Rin.
We wanted a more broad alternative on the channel to Worst Game Ever. We wanted to have something available to us that, we could be a little more broad with, that we could all be involved in, that, we could change every single week, or however often we do it.
This is going to take years, at least. Recording?
Based on the last recording session.
See you in 2030, guys.
Based on the last recording session, it's going to be at least 5 years.
Fuck.
oh,
Alright, Sliver, what is our topic for today?
today's topic, what makes a good villain?
Yes, we know there are quite a few great villains
Oh, quite a
in
few.
fiction. There's Naruto Uzumaki,
Oh, fuck.
My favorite
right?
villain.
There's Luffy from One Piece,
Like,
the chef,
Which chef?
anyone.
The chef is
They're
always...
killing animals and they're cooking them. It's a fucking nightmare.
Have you ever been in a kitchen? It's terrible.
Yeah.
There's like pots, there's pans. If
Truly,
you're really
those
unfamiliar.
It gets all over.
instruments.
Like, I couldn't even bear to see a pot right now.
Okay. Sliver's fucking pot phobia aside, I figure I'll start us off because I've got a very general baseline for what I think makes a good villain.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I forget where I read it, but there is a certain saying in writing that if you want to make a story full of conflict, what you do is you make all your characters and make all their wants conflict with each other. It's an incredibly basic and easy way to create conflict. And when you think of something like a Game of Thrones story, which I'll be spoiling very soon, spoilers for Game of Thrones, Danganronpa, Infinity War, those were all... I'm spoiling all those. Fuck you guys.
Spoiling Endgame too?
No, I'm not spoiling Endgame. Endgame's off my radar for now.
Everyone's seen Endgame anyway, so
Yeah.
it's not really that big a deal.
Essentially what it comes down to for making a good villain is good motivation matched with appropriate action. I mean, there can be a lot of great motivations, but then there can be the action part, which is where things can kind of get problematic. Or, sometimes these things don't go hand in hand, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's talk about a good motivation, a good action to that. Thanos from Infinity War, obviously.
Oh, he did nothing wrong.
That's what's so great about him, unironically, is that there is an argument that Thanos actually did nothing wrong. He murdered half planets, and then they thrived. The proof was in the pudding for him, and he just kept doing it. So he felt he was justified. And because of that, he took the actions to fight people who we would consider heroes because we've been watching all these fucking movies forever. And that was a appropriate action to his motivation. On the other hand, you have shit like Game of Thrones with a character like Daenerys Targaryen. Spoilers for Game of Thrones, but fuck everyone, it's a shit series. It went to shit by the last season. You have a character that, for seasons, helped all this, get all these slaves freed all these cities, was very, anti... I don't know, she was a fighter of the people. And yet, in the second last episode, this same character who has been doing this the whole series, her motivation is to become the queen, but her action is that she just fucking murders the whole fucking kingdom. She kills all the peasants, she kills everyone in, holding this establishment down, she kills the younglings, she kills the Wookiees, she kills fucking everyone. And it makes no fucking sense for her character. And I think why I'm starting on this is because while neither of these things need to be particularly great, like, I think a character with like a shaky motivation would kind of be the Joker, because we don't really know his backstory. But he's like
it changes so much depending on source and everything.
but he's just an agent of chaos. And it's the actions that make that interesting. And so, what the fuck was even my point? I completely lost myself.
I think in some ways, like, at least from what you're saying, what I'm getting from it and what kind of my point would be is a villain has to either believe they're in the right or have a cause that is wrong that they know is wrong. Like a villain like the Joker knows he is doing wrong, but he believes his goal outweighs all the destruction he's going to cause, whether that's, getting a reaction from Batman or just wanting to see the world go nuts. But like a character, like you going back to Thanos, I mean, you see a character who he is very motivated into what he wants to do because he thinks that it is the right choice, it is the only way to fix things. And that just doesn't line up with what the heroes believe and what most people that are sane would believe even.
See, I think that's kind of a subjective... I think that's a very subjective way of looking at it, actually. One of the things I was going to bring up was Danganronpa. And fuck you, I'm spoiling... No, I'm not actually going to spoil anything in the good parts of Danganronpa. But the good parts of Danganronpa, to just talk about the scenario, it's a killing game. All these students are forced to do this killing game. One of them has to kill another one without getting caught, and then they go into a trial, and if they don't get caught, they get set free and everyone else fucking dies. That's motivation to kill. Like, even if you're like a regular person, like if you're put into that scenario, you want to like leave. Or you might get killed, or like there's a certain bit of rationale that goes through that. But like throughout the series, there are like these characters that are actually just fucking evil. That you like, the motivation to leave is there, but like the motivation to also just fucking do horrible shit is there. And that, I think, in itself can be compelling depending on how you do it.
Oh yeah, you also have you have the reluctant villain, which is a villain that is forced to do bad things and they know it's bad, or even the villain that knows they're doing bad and they don't super care.
Well, I think what Kaz is going on are characters that are just kind of evil for no good reason. Mm-hmm. Like we're mentioning a lot of good villains are ones that have good motives. Like, they think they're doing the right thing, they may be taking it to an extreme, or maybe a morally gray ends justify the means solution. Mm-hmm. But I think what Kaz is talking about are characters that are just kind of evil and don't really make sense in their evilness. In which case, I would say generally those aren't great villains, they're kind of cartoon mustache twirling villains that aren't great. But if it's entertaining, if it's at least interesting in how they do it, it can still be good. It's not amazing well written, but it's still entertaining. And I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's an issue with that. It's not some high literature stuff, but...
there's a reason everyone loves Frieza from fucking Dragon Ball. Frieza just wants to fucking kill everyone. He just wants to take over the universe. But he's entertaining. He's just entertaining in how fucking evil he is.
Yeah. Stuff like that is...
Yeah, you can have a villain that just is evil and they are perfectly fine with that, they're perfectly comfortable with that. That is also a thing.
On the other hand, from the same series of Danganronpa, there's a fucking horrible piece of media, which was the anime for that fucking show, where there is a character, a minor villain, who, no shit, hates a person because they won't eat their sweets. That's their whole reason for hating it. This character risks life and limb for them, does everything they say, but it's like, you won't eat my sweets? Fuck you, I hate you. Then this same character just kills their boyfriend literally for no reason, other than she thinks they might betray them at some point, even though there was no fucking way, and this character showed no ill will towards them and showed no intentions towards that. She just decided to just kill them. That's a fucking weak motivation and action, personally. I fucking hate characters like that.
Well, what you mentioned earlier, the action doesn't meet the motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You won't... The character who's all about sweets is obsessed with creating candy and sweets and stuff for future reference. the fact that a person won't eat them is not a reason to hate them forever, especially when that character was like diabetic or something in case.
Literally, yes.
So, if someone refuses to, like, I can see that maybe annoying the person, but hating them forever is too extreme an action for the motivation, and thus the character doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's
my point. Yeah.
I think in general, a villain kind of has to make sense within their own context.
Yeah.
In that one, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, it doesn't fit.
I have nothing more to add. Fuckers.
Oof.
What do you mean, oof? I spelled like 7 minutes of time.
Yeah, we just said like 7 minutes of stuff. What are your opinions, Sliv?
Yeah.
My onions. You want to know my
Give
onions?
me your
Absolutely.
onions.
Oh, well, what
Chop me
makes a
some
good
onions.
villain? No. Fuck, I'm a big fan of the eccentric villain, like the one that's just like too high on their own shit. Like they don't even have to make sense to me, man.
I
Like
feel like you smoke your own shit if you get high. If you eat that much weed that you can smoke shit.
like fuck.
Like how?
Just like I love a villain who's out there. Like they don't need to make sense. Their clan doesn't need to make sense. But as long as they're being a wacky son of a bitch, like.
So you're going with what I said earlier, in that they don't need to necessarily be well written, they just need to be entertaining,
Exactly.
which can work.
It can, like, you don't have to, like...
It works best in something that's already kind of batshit insane, though.
Yeah, for some reason, like, when we were talking about that, like, I remember when sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Oh, it's...
When I watched Hazbin Hotel, like, one of the big characters in that was the Snake, who was, like, an antagonist, who was a villain, ignoring that every other character's fucking horrible, too. But, like, he was so blatantly ridiculous. Like, he was that freaking mustache swirling, basically, villain. But his actions are so ridiculous and so hilarious that, like, you end up liking him by the end.
Yeah, I suppose in that regard it sort of, depends on the source material, as you said.
Yeah, it depends on context a lot of the time, too. Like, if it's something that's serious and there's just a character, like, that is so out there and so ridiculous that it doesn't make sense, that there's no realism to it, then it doesn't work. But if it's like something wacky and someone's like super dead serious and it's not played the right way, it could go really badly too. There has to be balance. Like, I guess it's like, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So like...
Except in Steven Universe, everyone just cries.
Well, that's the reaction.
No, you're right, man.
Shit.
Are you ready to cry?
Alright, guys. Favorite villains. Like, if you were to name your number one favorite villain, who would it
Wow.
be? From any media.
Woo, Dead Space.
Yeah!
Dead Air, actually.
A little hard, eh?
Same thing.
It's easily editable. Editable. I want to say Thanos.
Thanos?
I don't know. He
Basic bitch choice.
It really was, but he brought something to. I can't just because I can't think of anything better.
Right, like
If
he did bring like a...
If I was given a couple more minutes to think of it, maybe. But
right.
he gave he had such like a fucking morally gray area and such a cookie cutter. What was up till then like a relatively cookie cutter universe, and I don't think Marvel's ever going to top it. If I'm going to be honest. I think Marvel's fucked now without him.
I liked the way they handled Thanos in a way that he was morally gray. He wasn't choosing to be genocidal per se. He was being very impartial with his decision to just snap away randomly half of all life in the universe.
Yeah, and when you get down to it, he wasn't actually that powerful too.
No.
Ant-Man at any point could have climbed up his ass and expanded and killed him dead as fuck.
Come on,
I guess that does tie into another thing though, that a really good villain tends to have to back it up in some way. There has to be some way they can back up what they say. Like if Thanos just showed up and was like, oh man, I'm gonna snap half the universe, and he gets his ass handed to him non-stop, everyone's just kicking his ass, he'd be a terrible villain. Well, even if he eventually got the stones, it's still, you're nothing without them.
Yeah, well, the villain the villains always have to be matched to the hero of
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah, unless
In
it's
general-
Captain Marvel.
That's yeah.
That's a bad hero.
Hence why we hate Captain Marvel, actually. Well, there's a whole
Well,
list
hence
of
why all the
reasons.
villains in that movie are completely flaccid and
Yeah.
not interesting at all.
Yeah.
As soon as she got her full set, they were done. It wasn't interesting at all. Yeah, no. But generally in a story, a villain has to start off at a greater point than the hero. Generally.
Yeah.
Not always, but generally. At a certain point, the hero will probably lose to the villain. In some form, in some capacity.
A lot of ways the villain helps make the hero. The villain helps push the story. And you can flip it over too. A hero will help make a villain. If the hero's not good, then obviously the villain's gonna suffer as well.
Tony Stark made this in the cave with scraps!
Easy there, Jehovah. Wait, what was his
My
name?
favorite,
Oh,
my favorite villains.
Jeremiah?
My favorite villains are Jehovah's Witnesses at the front door.
Jehovah's Witness
They
versus
think,
Iron Man?
they think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, you see?
What was the name of that asshole? Alright, does anyone have anything else to add? We've been doing it for like 16 minutes now. I'm out.
If you want to discuss your favorite villain, or if the unnamed wants to discuss his favorite villain.
You haven't discussed your favorite villain.
No,
yeah,
I
no,
haven't.
you haven't.
I haven't.
Do it.
Do it.
Ooh, favorite villain.
You ask these questions and you don't have the answers.
No, I never have the
What is your
answers.
weird, wacky, over-the-top villain that you love so much?
Oh fuck, Yzma's my spirit animal, man.
Oh, Yzma!
Yzma's my spirit animal.
Literally who?
From Emperor's New Groove.
Oh.
She is such a great villain. Oh my god.
Oh fuck,
Yeah.
like so out
That is a
there.
good villain.
That's another good thing about villain. Is like a good villain, like having a good foil to work with them. Because Kronk makes Yzma.
Oh,
Yzma
yeah.
on her own would not work without Kronk.
Oh, not at all. Like fuck.
Oh my god, Kronk's technically a villain.
Kronk is technically a villain. Like those spinach
I
puffs,
changed my
like,
best villain to Kronk. Fuck this.
Yeah, Kronk is easily the greatest villain.
Kronk
100%.
is the best villain.
Fuck this.
He might be too likable for a villain, but he's the best.
Hey, a villain can be likable.
But like,
Yeah, but it
if
has
we-
to not overlap the hero generally.
But if we look at Yzma as a thing, her motivation is she wants to be in charge.
Yeah, she
Because
wants
she
to-
thinks, I don't know, she's good at it or she deserves it. She's clearly some kind of narcissistic kind of character. She takes a fairly appropriate action of attempting to assassinate the person in charge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. She's not.
I'm not scratching my
She's
fucking
not.
head.
She's not
Yeah.
a villain that is any level of morally right, but her action to her motivation fits,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I think a bit of a good metric there.
Yeah, I know it, like, when you look at this, it seems so basic, but you would be surprised how many fucking villains I've come across that have one or two of those things completely conflicting, and it just makes you fucking wonder what the hell's going on with the writing. Yeah, I mean, fuck. I have nothing more to add.
And on top of it, like, you can like a theoretically bad villain. Like, I think everyone here loves Bandit Keith.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bandit Keith.
Everyone loves that. He's a terrible villain.
Well, I think he's great because he's terrible.
You're right.
There's a bit of an irony to it, I think. He's just, he's just doing dickhouse things for no reason. He loves it though, and he loves America. That's his motivation. He's living up to American standards.
Oh, there you go. Shit, man.
I forgot. In like one JRPG I played for whatever, I've played a lot. Like the villain is like, I need to kill all humans because humans are destroying the planet with technology. Very basic JRPG plot. The main characters come up to him. No, we've created a new technology that doesn't destroy the planet and does the same thing. But it's like, yeah, but I still hate humans, so I gotta do it. I'm like, your motivation just went out the window, and you're just continuing the plan so that we can have a final boss fight.
Yeah.
It's not interesting. It was okay up till that point. He became stupid once he said, well, no, I've still gotta do it.
Like, I'm not a fan of a villain who's just evil to be evil. Like,
You also said that you're a fan of that as long as they're ridiculous and weird.
yes, but that's the
Well,
exception.
I mean, that's what I said earlier. You can have villains like that, but if there's some level of like really entertaining, it's still fine.
Like,
Yeah.
That's the point of media, is to entertain.
Yeah, like
Is it
forget.
In a lot of ways,
Is it not
like
for us
a
to
good
bitch
villain
about
has
it
their own
constantly?
charisma.
Well, that's entertainment also.
Oh, okay, fair.
Like, forgive me if I'm forgetting a bit here, but like, wasn't Voldemort like just evil to be evil? Like, what was his end goal there?
His end goal was, I don't know, to kill Muggles.
He wanted to run the show,
Yeah.
basically.
Like, he could have
Run that
run the
bitch.
show if he had just like went into politics, but nah, it was just evil to be evil.
I mean, he had
You
this
think he could have
weird
become
prejudice.
Sheev?
Yeah, he did have that prejudice, but that was because he
Yeah, that's
was
what
raised
Casey
with that prejudice, right?
Yeah, but his whole thing was that he wasn't able to overcome his shortcomings and his being raised up. It's a foil to like Harry Potter, where he was able to succeed in spite of all the things that would have held someone back, and Voldemort completely fell apart from it. He became this evil, twisted monster. So it kind of works. I'm not saying Voldemort's a great villain. I'm just saying, because there is a lot of bullshit with him.
Like,
But like, he is
Yeah, that-
a
I mean,
bad villain.
He doesn't even have a nose. Like, you can't
like
even...
he's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's sadistic. He's a murderer. But like, what does he do other than just kill?
Not have a nose.
There you go.
Number one component needs to have
Yeah,
no.
if we're making a top 10 list of all the things that a villain needs,
Top
number
10
one,
villain
nose.
traits.
Top 5 has to have. There's a note.
Yeah.
Can it be crooked? Slightly downward?
No, it just needs
Or
to
here's-
exist.
For some reason, you saying traits reminded me of something. Freaking Steely Dan.
Steely
Jojo.
okay.
Oh, fuck.
He is an
Yeah.
excellent villain.
Yeah. Well, that's a villain. That fight in particular was fantastic, just because of how he pushed the main character.
Yeah.
Steely Dan is a character who, the main character has just completely blown everyone the fuck out of the water up to this point. And Steely Dan is a situation where he has to like think before he acts, and he just does them. He makes the main character do so much shit that when the time comes for him to like beat like the main character to beat the shit out of him, you as the audience are entirely behind it.
Yeah, you want to see this guy get hurt, and like that's another, I guess, a good thing that makes a villain. You know, wanting to see them lose. You know, because you see like, oh man, they're doing all this terrible shit. Like in Steely Dan's case, like he's just like making Jotaro do all this shit.
You need the catharsis
Yeah, the catharsis.
that you get when they
Yeah.
When they get what's
Sure.
coming to
That
them.
said, there are times when a villain can just, like, the writer isn't very creative and they just make them do some like stupid evil shit. Like, character just like kicks a puppy as he's walking down. It means nothing.
Oh, I am so evil.
Yeah, it's like he's walking down the street. He just kicks a puppy. We don't know who this puppy is. We don't know who. It has no connection to anyone. He just did it because the writer's like, I need to make them more evil, so we'll make them do an evil action that has no bearing on anything. If it was maybe the main character's dog that he kicks, that could work because that also leads into the character's motivation. But just doing that is kind of a boring way to make your villain evil.
Yeah. You can't have evil actions for the sake of evil actions. Evil actions have to have a purpose to them.
Yeah, and progress the plot.
Progress the story.
Progress the plot or maybe relate to a main character in some way.
Like probably like to tie it to like I guess if I were to pick like my favorite villain, the easy choice for me would be like the Vince McMahon character, Mr. McMahon.
I don't even like know that much about wrestling, but that dude is so fucking polarizing.
Yeah, well, he leaned into it because he knew like he was getting the reactions, like negative reactions, like the screw job had just happened in Montreal, where you know he made a call and screwed someone out of a world title blatantly in front of a crowd, and everyone knew it. And he came out, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the good guy," and everyone was like, "Fuck you!" And he leaned into it and was like, "Yeah, I'm this asshole that like I'm gonna fuck with everyone now," and you know, it led to the creation of heroes that went against him that are like without Mr. McMahon, there is no Stone Cold Steve Austin, for example, because Stone Cold needed a villain to fight. And like being this rich megalomaniac, freaking psychopath, it created such entertainment, and seeing him get what was coming to him was so, once again, cathartic. Like, it's just so exciting to see someone get their ass kicked when they're doing such terrible things.
I don't know why you're standing. I'm standing because the chair keeps creaking.
Oh, I don't know. I was gonna bring up a point, like, about Vince McMahon, you know, like, that time he fought God, you know, like, nothing's more villainous than that.
Mr. McMahon hasn't been a perfect villain. I'm talking about early Mr. McMahon. Like, later on, there's some crazy stuff that happens with him that makes no sense.
I think, again, barely knowing wrestling, It's Me, Austin is probably one of my favorite fucking videos on the internet ever.
It's me, Austin. It was me.
No, son of a bitch!
Wrong, Austin.
Alright.
Oh, God.
Even my family bought it.
Alright, do we have anything else to add?
Oh, none. I think...
I think we got our point across, I think,
Like-
you know.
Yeah.
What was our point?
What made a good villain?
Yeah.
Have you already forgotten about this, Kaz?
Ah, shit. Damn.
There goes his osteoporosis again.
Don't mind me, I'm just a little boy with leukemia trying to
rule
trying to rule the world. I've got a motivation and an action. They're both flawless.
You see, it all works out. Well, thank you for listening. This has been Sliv.
And Kaznarius.
And Rin,
Signing off.
my favorite villain is our upload schedule.